big men put on a show in the Final Four. They own the paint, leaving the orange men black and blue. Tonight they need those big men to show up again on the biggest stage. But it'll be a tall task against a team with a great perimeter. Villanova's engine is its guards, and during this year's tournament, that engine's been revved up, topped off with Saturday's record-setting 44-point win over the Oklahoma Sooners, the largest margin of victory in NCAA tournament history. Hello from Houston, Texas. It's a great day to be at the Final Four. I'm Jeff GRAVLEY here to begin our coverage of a championship night.
And I'm Ken Smith, getting you ready for what the Heels hope will be one more shining moment. Now, over the next half hour, we will be talking with Coach Roy Williams about a season full of emotions, plus a Carolina fan who won't allow a potential heart transplant to get in the way of cheering on his beloved Heels. And, of course, we'll go inside the numbers to break down tonight's game. But, Jeff, getting back to Coach Williams and those emotional comments he made when he stepped to the podium Saturday night.
Well, you know, after every game in the tournament, the coach and select players go to the podium to talk to the media. And the coach always makes an opening statement. And what Roy Williams said after beating Syracuse Saturday night, right off the bat, what he said gave a lot of people chills.
Needless to say, we're ecstatic, but I'll get something out of the way first. I really wish Stuart Scott was here tonight. And I really wish Dean Smith and Bill Guthridge and my best friend in Chapel Hill, Ted Seagroves, were here. It's been the last year and a half. It's been awfully difficult because of all of that, but they're up there smiling somewhere and having a good time, and Stuart's saying booyah, so I like that part.
2 friends, 2 mentors, 4 funerals. The last year and a half has brought personal sadness to Roy Williams, but he finds comfort with his family and an escape with his basketball team.
Basketball has been his safe haven from it. I mean, he gets away from things like that by just coming to practice with us and being able to coach us.
He always reminded us that we were his bright spot during these times, and he loved showing up to coach us because it allowed him a release and just, you know, doing what he loved to do. It helped him forget about some of those other things that were going on. So, you know, I'm glad we were able to provide that for him, and it shows you how much he loves us and loves coaching us. And I hope, you know, hope we do this for him on Monday.
You know, the players want to win a championship for Roy Williams, and Roy Williams wants to win a championship for those players who've never won one.
Yeah, and we heard from fans, some of whom teared up.
Yes.
Goosebumps when he got to the podium.
Well, it's pretty amazing. I can't imagine if they win tonight what that press conference would be like. And if Roy Williams does win tonight, he is going to join elite company among college basketball coaches. He will be just one of 5 coaches to win 2 or more than 2 national championships. That list headed by John Wooden, Mike Krzyzewski with 5, Adolph Rupp with 4, Bob Knight and Jim Calhoun all have 3. Roy Williams would like to add his name to that list.
And, you know, Jeff, Carolina actually leads this matchup with Villanova. Right. Carolina 5, Villanova 1. But the teams have championship similarities. We get more on that from Ken Medlin.
At first glance, these 2 universities seem to have very little in common. One, a small Catholic school in a large northeastern city. The other, a large public university in a southern college town. But the bond is basketball. And over the past 3 decades, the Carolina-Villanova matchup has produced 4 national champions. It all started in 1982, when Carolina, ironically playing on NC State's home court, beat Villanova in the Elite 8. Barely a week later, the Tar Heels would cut down the nets for Dean Smith's first national title. 3 years later, these teams again found themselves on a collision course, again in the Elite 8. This time, Birmingham, Alabama was sweet home for Villanova, as the 8-seeded Wildcats upset Carolina, a 2-seed, 56-44. Villanova went on to upset Georgetown in the national title game, the same Georgetown Carolina beat in the 1982 final. Fast forward to 2005, this time a Sweet 16 contest in Syracuse. Carolina led by 11 late in the second half. But Randy Foye led Nova on a furious comeback. And a controversial call in the final minute helped Carolina advance and go on to beat Illinois in the national title game. 4 years after that, the Final Four was the stage, and there was no endgame drama. Carolina breezed to an 83-69 win in Detroit, setting up their second national title in 5 years. 4 times now, the Carolina-Villanova winner has produced a national champion, and by night's end, that number will be 5. Ken Medlin, WRAL Sports.
And you know, Jeff, Villanova coach Jay Wright remembers that 1982 championship game against Georgetown. He calls it one of the most inspirational moments of his coaching career. It was unbelievable.
It was. He's been a part of some amazing runs at Villanova, but he doesn't have that ring yet.
Exactly. Well, you know, compared to North Carolina, Villanova is still relatively a newcomer to tournament success. The Heels have made the tournament 47 times compared to Villanova's 36. Carolina has twice the number of tournament victories, 117 to 56. Carolina's 19 final hours dwarf Nova's 5. The Heels cut down the nets 5 times versus Villanova 1.
Well, you know, this is a highly anticipated night. You got a lot of nerves. The North Carolina team, one by one, is getting on the bus over at their hotel as they will soon depart for the trip over here to NRG Stadium.
About a 15-minute drive.
Yeah, it is. There they are. You got the band playing again, a nice send-off for players. They're going one by one. They're not coming out as a team. Probably it's one of those situations where when you're comfortable to get on the bus, you get on the bus. You know, you don't want to get on too early and sit there.
Exactly.
But you don't want to get on too late and miss it. Roy Williams, you know he won't miss the bus.
Oh, no.
He's going to be riding shotgun on the first seat as he gets ready for another national championship night.
And you know, as we watch these players and coaches get on that bus, you got to just wonder what they're feeling right now.
A little nerves. They absolutely have nerves.
Absolutely.
But they aren't the only ones.
No.
There is a Smith Center crowd gathering right now that, you know, they're a bundle of energy as well, ready to cheer on their team to a possible national championship. They had about 4,000 there the other night for semifinal night. Should be more tonight. Let's go to Ariel Clay to see what's going on at the Smith Center. Ariel?
Yeah, Jeff and Ken, 10,000 people expected here tonight, and you can see hundreds of them are already in line here at the Smith Center. You know, we talked to folks from the university, and they say that this is going to be a great event for folks who come out here tonight. Doors don't open until 8 o'clock for faculty and students. 8:30 for the general public, and already all these people here in line ready to go. Okay, so concessions will be happening here, the band will be here, the cheerleaders will be here, and the game will be played from a big jumbotron here tonight at the Smith Center. It's completely free for folks who show up, but there is $5 parking on several lots. Now we want to show you a live shot from out there on Franklin Street, top of the hill. Just one of the many places where students will be watching this game tonight. A really big, exciting night for the folks here. Again, doors open at 8 o'clock for students and faculty, 8:30 for the folks who are just the general public here, ready to come out, watch UNC take on this big game tonight. We'll send it back to you guys now.
Oh, baby. Hey, they'll pay that $5 parking to get a chance to watch it in the Smith Center.
And, you know, I remember being at the Smith Center in 2009.
Okay.
When they were playing for the championship in Detroit, and it felt like a home game, as if the team was actually on the court.
It was
amazing.
Yeah. A lot of anxious moments, a lot of hearts palpitating tonight.
Yeah. And, you know, we have been here about 4 or 5 days now, and we had the opportunity to meet one huge Tar Heel fan. Stephen Jones is a heart transplant patient. He and his wife, Arnitha, make their home right here in Houston, but he grew up in Spring Lake loving the Tar Heels.
I recorded every game this season.
Stephen Jones has a first and only love when it comes to basketball, of course, the UNC Tar Heels.
In the last few games, they have definitely showed what they can do.
And as far back as he can remember, growing up in Spring Lake, he's shown his love for the Tar Heels.
Carolina Blue really got me.
I mean, just take a look at his hospital room at Baylor St. Luke Medical Center in Houston. It's decked out in all things Carolina Blue.
Believe me, I haven't missed a game since I've been in here. The tournaments, the ACC tournament, I started putting my stuff out. That's my good luck piece. And they ain't lost a game since.
He was so looking forward to seeing his beloved Tar Heels play at NRG Stadium. It would have been a dream come true. But then he found out he'd be hospitalized for his heart condition.
Monday would be 5 weeks.
As this retired veteran of 20 years awaits a heart transplant, though, he says the Tar Heels' ongoing success is just as good a remedy as any medicine.
They haven't let me down yet.
When the Tar Heels take the court for their biggest game of the season, one of their biggest fans will be watching from his hospital room.
Ooh, I miss being there. But I am in love with that team right now. They got a real good team, and I'm pretty sure they can take it.
He has his other rituals too. His wife Anita always by his bedside, but not when the Heels play.
Really?
She can't be in the room, and it's worked for them so far.
Their superstitions and their beliefs.
Absolutely.
That's a belief.
Let me tell you something. It's working for him.
You're exactly right. So, she won't be bedside tonight.
No.
He'll get to watch it by himself. Well, Ken, this is a night of sibling rivalries on opposite teams. Also, what in the world do you do all day long waiting for the national championship game to tip off? And going to break, we begin our look back at Carolina's national championships. The first came in 1957 against Kansas, led by Wilt Chamberlain. Despite Wilt the Stilt winning the most outstanding player, Carolina beat Kansas in 3 overtimes to cap an undefeated season for Coach Frank McGuire. Well, for title number 2, North Carolina beats Georgetown in one of the most memorable title games in history. There were big names like James Worthy, Sam Perkins, Patrick Ewing, but it was a shot by some kid named Mike Jordan that clinched the win for the Heels, giving Coach Dean Smith his first national championship. And Ken, I believe Michael is supposed to be here tonight.
Really?
Yes, he will probably be here tonight.
And we saw those players getting on the bus. It's been a long day for them.
They had a shoot around here earlier, but this is like, oh my gosh, when will we ever get to play? So how do you prepare for that? No one knows that better than former North Carolina Post player Eric Montross, who was a part of the 1993 national championship team. Jared Fialco spoke with Eric about the process.
It's national championship morning. Your alarm rings, your wake-up call comes. You can't sit there and tell me that it feels like just any other day when you're playing for the richest prize in college hoops, can you?
No, it doesn't feel like any other day. It's obviously a very special moment.
For you personally, how slowly or quickly did time progress that day in '93?
Oh, it was like a snail's pace. It really was. I remember just kind of looking at the clock, trying to find, not wanting to go out and do many activities because you didn't want to have your legs worn out by the evening. You want to stay off your legs and be at full mark.
At what point does it become just another game, or does it not do that at all?
Yeah, I don't think it ever becomes just another game. I think there are moments that you feel a familiar feeling, a familiar sense of a feeling of competition, but it's never just another game because you know that the stage, the lights are brighter, the venues are bigger, the crowds are louder, the attention is more focused, and the tension is more focused.
There you have it. North Carolina is the 1993 national champion.
Those final seconds tick away, and you know you are about to be a national champion. What sense of euphoria comes over you?
I think that certainly it's hard for words to describe, but it is a sheer sense of exhilaration. You know that all of a sudden you have achieved that which you've been chasing all year long, and in some cases your entire career. And then you start to recognize how sweet the taste of victory at that level. This is the college game's biggest prize, and so then you relish the fanfare and the festivity of it, and it only gets sweeter.
Well, the rest certainly didn't hurt Montross that night. He scored 16 points, second on the team, and also had 5 rebounds.
We could relate to that because we've been waiting for this special all day.
Exactly. Now it's time to perform.
Exactly.
You have siblings.
Right.
You know what it's like to compete against each other.
Yes.
We've got an ultimate story tonight of competition for a national championship.
Yeah, Mandy Mitchell shows us the Britt brothers, and she says they're focused on the game and taking a break from family tonight.
Nate Britt and Chris Jenkins are adopted brothers who talk about everything. But ever since Saturday night's outcomes, which put their 2 teams against each other for the national title, crickets.
I won't talk to him today or tomorrow until after the game, or maybe, before the game, give him a hug and tell him, have a good game. But other than that, no words.
I haven't tried to talk to him yet. He hasn't tried to talk to me, so that might be the case.
And who can blame the brothers? Sibling rivalry is a real thing, and this is a really big stage for that to play out.
We compete on everything. It can be who puts their seatbelt on the fastest when we get in the car.
Think of anything. We compete at everything. Running up the steps, just anything. Nobody in our house likes to lose, so it's all of us. It's not just us two. It's each and every last one of us. And we might be dead even. I think this one right here is the tiebreaker.
And the winner, just call that lifelong never let the other one forget about it bragging rights.
Like I said, we're super competitive, so what other way to do it than this?
I do hope he plays well, and I hope he's injury-free and things like that, but there's nobody in the world that I want to beat more than my brother.
This right here is permanent bragging rights for the rest of our lives.
Brotherly love, except for tonight. Mandy Mitchell, WRAL Sports, Houston.
I mean, can you just imagine Thanksgiving dinner?
Oh, I can't imagine being the parent of both of them. And as Chris said, you know what? The good thing is you can't lose. Well, yes, you can.
Yeah.
One of these kids is going to be crushed tonight. One will have the biggest win of his life tonight. That would be tough.
And mom's going to have to comfort one and celebrate with the other.
That's what you got to do as a parent, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the tale of the tape between these two is very similar. We'll talk about that coming up. And title number 3 for North Carolina comes in New Orleans. It's title number 2 for Coach Dean Smith. They took on a brash bunch of players from Michigan who were dubbed the Fab Five. A tight game when Michigan's Chris Webber called a timeout the team didn't have. Carolina got the free throws and the ball to seal the win. 25 points from Garner's Donald Williams to earn MVP. And so it'll be a
Welcome back. Carolina, Villanova in the NCAA championship game tonight. And these two teams have a history, Jeff.
They have a history, and if you look at the similarities between these two teams, they have some very striking similarities. You look at the roster and number of players. They've got 4 players that both average about 10 points a game. They have a fairly deep bench with 8 players getting at least 15 minutes a game. Both shot 48% from the field during the regular season. Villanova a little better at the three-point shot and the free throw line, but it's basically a dead heat. And that's what you like when you want to decide a championship. You know, you can have a lot of people around here with a lot of opinions. Some are right and some are wrong.
Yeah. And just in case you missed Adam and Joe on 99.9 The Fan, here's Mandy Mitchell with Joe Ovies.
Now I'm here with Joe Ovies. He's one of the hosts of Adam and Joe on 99.9 The Fan. Joe, we were talking about during the game the other day that it felt like an ACC championship game, really, with Syracuse and North Carolina. This game has a little bit more intrigue, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, this game is exactly what we all wanted. We want two teams that have met in this situation before, tons of history, tons of background, and they're also the best 2 teams of the NCAA tournament. The way they've been rolling through the NCAA tournament, who they've beaten, how they've gotten here, it's going to be a great matchup.
It kind of feels like, you know, the hottest team in the tournament against maybe the best team in the tournament or the best team all season?
Yeah, this has been, for all the doubters that North Carolina might have toughness questions, who they've beaten on their way, even though they've done it in dominant fashion. Villanova will leave no doubt. If they beat Villanova, we don't need to hear anything about, well, they got an easy draw, they got a bad Syracuse team that shouldn't have been there. None of that applies if they can beat Villanova.
What does UNC have to do well to beat Villanova?
Well, they need to stop taking bad shots like they did against Syracuse, but because they're so deep and because Syracuse had to make some concessions, they talked about the press, they were able to get out. Villanova will do none of that. Villanova has a really good defense. So it comes back down to staying out of foul trouble, not taking bad shots, and doing what they do best. Depth, getting inside, and rebounding. If they do that, they should come away with a win.
All right, Joe Ovies from 99.9 The Fan. Jeff and Ken, will send it back out to you.
In other words, Carolina must play an A game tonight.
Oh, well, they have to, and they have been playing that way, but so is Villanova. This is a clash of 2 teams playing their best basketball at the end of the year, and that's what both coaches have talked about. That's a process to go through the season to get to this point.
You know, a lot of things could be decided off the court tonight.
Yeah, well, okay, you know, we've compared the numbers of the teams. What about the alumni?
Yeah.
Who's got the best alumni? We'll talk about that. And talking about championships, what about 2005 for North Carolina? They beat another Big Ten team, North Carolina and Illinois. 75-70. Tar Heel Shaw, who is now on the coaching staff of North Carolina, the most outstanding player. The win, the first NCAA championship for Coach Roy Williams as a head coach. We're back in a minute.
Saturday.
4
3 years after their last national championship, the Tar Heels got another one in 2009, taking care of Villanova in the Final Four that year, and for the third straight time beat a team out of the Big Ten for the championship. This time, Michigan State was the victim, getting trounced by 17 points. The title run also grabbed some presidential headlines. The 2009 tournament was the one that President Obama filled out his brackets on ESPN, okay? Well, he picked the Tar Heels, and they made him look like a sportscaster, a correct sportscaster. This year, President Obama picked Kansas to beat Carolina in the final, but of course, Kansas lost to Villanova.
Well, only Carolina can boast a past president. James Polk.
Okay.
In 1818, he graduated from Carolina. So who wins in terms of the battle of non-sports alumni? Well, Carolina grads include 14 U.S. Senators, Andy Griffith, Jack Palance, and Rick Dees. Villanova has Dr. Jill Biden, the current second lady, actor Bradley Cooper, and musicians Toby Keith and Jim Croce. So Carolina wins based on important alumni, but it's hard to top Villanova's list of entertainers. Well, Jeff, when you look at this team on paper, they match up well with Villanova. What has to happen tonight?
I think the guards have to play well for North Carolina, and if we can just roll the videotape, as Tom Suter would say, you're going to see one of the key players for North Carolina getting on the bus. Marcus Page, it's his last game in a Carolina uniform. You know he is absolutely ecstatic to have an opportunity to play again for North Carolina. I think he's key. That guy, Kennedy Meeks, is also going to be key for North Carolina. So there are a lot of things that Carolina has to do well. They have to defend the three-point line and get ready for Villanova's defense. It's mighty good.
Well, as we leave you tonight, don't forget to go and watch the game at the Smith Center. But we want to leave you with the scene
Championship
from outside
night, baby.
NRG Stadium, the scene of tonight's NCAA National Championship between Villanova and Carolina.